My name is Prism, and welcome to the 2025 edition of the movies I saw in 2025. This is a video series where I go through every single new movie that I saw this year. This can be either theatrically or on streaming, but basically the only rule is if it came out in 2025, it's included. Now, this does not include re-releases of movies. This is just brand new movies. So, yes, I did see Revenge of the Sith and Jaws, and I will review those probably in other videos, but this is just all of the new releases. And we're going to do this the same way that I do every single year, where I talk about the films in order of release, going from the beginning of the year all the way to the end of the year, and I'm going to split this into two parts, with part 1 covering all the films through summer, and then part 2 covering all the films through the fall. So what do I really consider the fall? Well, honestly, I think every single film up till July, through July, will be in part 1, and then all the films in August to December are going to be in part 2. So basically, you're going to get a lot of films in this. There have been a lot of movies that I've seen, and actually at the time of recording this, I'm not done seeing films. There's still quite a few that I have yet to see. So that's why I'm kind of starting on it early, because it's going to be such a long, epic video. But let's get into the first film that I saw in 2025, and overall, the movies that I saw this year. Now, Captain America Brave New World, in my opinion, isn't that bad. I didn't really think it was that horrible. Now, to be clear, there was a lot of negative criticism going into this film. There was just a lot of negative outlook on it because the film had been delayed from 2024 to 2025, and there had been a lot of exaggerations on how much had been reshot, with people saying, oh, it's been reshot different portions 3 times. Oh, there was this issue. There were different reasons it was getting reshoots. There was a lot going into this. And so, I kind of didn't know fully what to expect. But, I watched the video kind of clearing it up. Like, no, the actual truth was they didn't reshoot it multiple times. There was one set of reshoots. Look, no one will ever really know what changed. But what I will say is the film isn't that bad. I don't think Brave New World is the Captain America movie they needed to start a new trilogy, but I do think it is acceptable. I genuinely think it is passable, and it is leagues above some of the other MCU multiverse saga films, such as Thor: Love and Thunder and the Marvels. Now, that said, I do like the Marvels quite a bit, but I can also admit that that film really does completely come apart, and I could name other films like that. But Brave New World, I don't think is that bad. I think that it could be saying a lot more important things. I think that it could be a lot more captivating, that they shouldn't have given the character development to the Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross, but it was fine. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed seeing Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, Captain America. I enjoyed, the music. Like I said, great action scenes. I thought it was okay. And honestly, if someone said, where would you put this in the MCU? I wouldn't put it as my favorite MCU film, but I definitely wouldn't put it at the bottom of the barrel, because I did genuinely enjoy the movie. And, thinking about it now, I might be up for a rewatch. So I'm going to give Brave New World a 6 out of 10. Alright, let me make something clear with this next one. Yes, we're reviewing the live-action remake of Snow White. I didn't hate this film. I did not. I actually found it enjoyable. Furthermore, I actually do not think it is the worst live-action remake. But I do think that there was a lot of online criticism, and while I think, depending on the criticism, it is warranted, let's look at it from, did I enjoy this movie? Yes or no? Yes, I did enjoy it. I didn't see it in cinemas, I saw it on Disney+, but I did actually enjoy the live-action remake of Disney's Snow White. And I actually didn't mind that they were trying to expand the story. I think that's a lot more interesting than just literally putting on a different texture pack for the movie and saying, hey, everything's realistic. I like that they tried to do some different things. For example, I like the song Waiting on a Wish. I like that they try to explain why Dopey is silent, and that's because he's afraid to speak. I didn't mind trying to give the prince more character and building up the relationship a little bit more. That does kind of ruin it, but hey, I'm not against the idea. I thought overall it was an enjoyable film, but it is a very, very flawed movie. It is a very bad movie, but I did enjoy it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. Thought it was fun. I'll put it like this. The issue is it's Snow White. And that is the first ever animated Walt Disney feature film. So I think people are going to be a lot more critical of it than something like, say, The Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast. People will be critical with those too, but there's almost like a certain level of honor and prestige the original film has. And so seeing the Disney company not respect that really offset a lot of people. But I did enjoy it when I actually sat down to watch it and I'd heard all the criticism. I thought, that was a fun movie. It was pretty stupid, but it was a fun movie. I liked some of the songs. That's it for me with Snow White. I honestly did enjoy it. Overall, I think I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I loved a Minecraft movie. And, I found that there's kind of two audiences. There's the people that love this movie, and there's the people that despise this movie. I'm on the side that love this movie. And yes, I'm a fan of Minecraft. If you've seen my other channel, I play Minecraft daily, or just about. I love this movie. And I thought it was a really, really fun time at the movie theater. And I was actually a little bit worried going into it because I didn't like Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, oh great, is this going to have that type of bad humor? Or not bad humor, but humor that just doesn't connect with me. But it didn't. It was genuinely a hilarious film that at sometimes maybe pushes the humor a little bit too far, getting a little bit too stupid. But honestly, it's a film about a pixelated block game. I don't know what people expected. This wasn't going to be like the Oppenheimer or the Apocalypse Now of Minecraft. There was no way. This is a kid's video game. And for being a kid's video game, it is such a fun film to watch. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. I was really excited for this movie. And it was great getting to go with friends opening weekend. I really enjoyed a Minecraft movie. I purely did really, really enjoy this. I thought it was great. I love this movie a lot. It was so funny. It was so satirical. Just so over the top. And yes, I did like Jack Black as Steve and Jason Momoa as Gary the Garbage Man Garrison. It was so dumb. It was so funny, though, and I had a great time. I would 100% watch this again. And so, I'm going to give a Minecraft movie, just based off enjoyment and personal experience, a perfect 10 out of 10. Another one of the big highlight films of this year, or rather, one of the first ones that we're getting into, is Angel Studios' The King of Kings. Made by Mosaic Studios and distributed by Angel, I thought this was a really good movie. This film, of course, tells the life of Jesus from his birth to his death and resurrection, but it's a beautiful adaptation of that material. And it's done from the perspective of being told to Charles Dickens' son. But the film does a great job with that idea. It does a great job making it an engaging animated film for kids, but it also never dumbs down the material too much to where it feels like they're just softening everything. Of course, they're not going to go into the full brutality, but at the end of the day, they're still giving the kids the material they need to understand what Jesus did. And I think this is a great film for parents to show their kids, to introduce them to these concepts. Obviously, you should read the Bible, but at the same time, if you want a more film, visual way to say these things and show these events, this is a great option. I thought they did a really good job. It was really intelligent. It was really well done. It was beautifully animated. I really like The King of Kings. I thought it was a great film. And honestly, it is one of my standout films from this year. I thought it was really good at what it was trying to do. And I thought overall it was a really good and faithful biblical adaptation. And so with that, I will happily give The King of Kings an 8 out of 10. Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts, or retitled to The New Avengers. This is, I think, one of the best MCU movies, hands down. This Marvel movie had no right to be as good as it was. Because seriously, the Thunderbolts goes to places that I did not expect. From the trailer, you could kind of get an idea of, oh, they're going to have kind of a darker finale. And I did expect something impactful. The final trailer truly did try and give a more impactful tone than just action. And, maybe that's one of my small complaints, that I would have liked one or two more action scenes. But I don't think I would have wanted that if it was at the cost of what we were given instead. And that is being one of the most emotionally impactful MCU films. Not because, oh, this cameo showed up and people remember this character, but because this film deals with the human emotion of depression and self-criticism. This film goes to places that I did not expect, and I was in tears by the third act. When all the Thunderbolts are trying to stop Bob from beating himself up, I was crying. The music, the visuals, the moment, it meant so much. I think this is something a Marvel film has not achieved in years, and I think this is something a Marvel film is not usually going to achieve, right? Because a lot of them are just about spectacle. Yes, there's character moments, but a lot of them are just about, hey, we're going to have action, and we hope you're all ready for the ride. But this film takes a back seat, and it makes something endearing, it makes something impactful, it makes something emotional. And I really love that about Thunderbolts. I truly loved this movie. I think it's a great MCU film. I think it builds great characters. I think it establishes a great team of heroes. I think really at the end of the day, though, it has one of the most impactful finales that the MCU has had in a long time. And I think one of the most emotionally impactful finales that the MCU has ever had. Because even the portal scene in Endgame, that might make you emotional because you've been waiting for this moment. But this makes you emotional because it's playing with a human emotion that is so present in people. And also there's stuff in here too about bipolar and, dealing with past trauma, PTSD. There's a lot in here when it comes to emotion. And I just think Thunderbolts is a great film. This is the only MCU film that I went and saw in cinemas twice this year. I don't do that usually. The last film that I did that with was Spider-Man No Way Home. But I went back and I saw this with another friend because this film truly is impactful and is one of the best MCU films by far. I love Thunderbolts. I thought it was a great time. It was truly special and really impactful. And I'm going to give Thunderbolts a 9.5 out of 10. Now, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning really should have been one of the highlights of this year. I do really think this film had the potential to be an action-packed, grand send-off for the Mission Impossible crew of Ethan Hunt and his team. But I left The Final Reckoning honestly bored and disappointed. This whole film is 2 hours and 51 minutes, and it doesn't earn that runtime. It's not filled to the brim with great action and great pacing. It's filled with a lot of just obvious studio notes or changes to try and make it its own film after Dead Reckoning didn't do so well, and they're trying to not make it be a part 2, but it has to be a part 2. I really didn't like this movie, honestly, when I first saw it. I thought it was one of the worst films of the franchise, and I still do. I think this goes up there with some of the worst Mission Impossible movies. While it may not have some moments that are as bad as Mission Impossible 2, at least that movie's fun and it's fast paced. This film's number one problem is everything it's doing is boring. I don't care about Ethan talking to the entity. I don't even care about the entity. All I want to see is him trying to destroy the entity. But in order to get to the actual plot, we take over 30 minutes to get out of the setup. And the fact is, we had all the setup. We had Dead Reckoning. And this film is supposed to be the second part of that, but it's the more boring part of it. Usually you're like, oh, the first part's boring, setting everything up. No, part one was more action packed than the second part, which is so unusual. But then when you have the director going and saying, yeah, we tried a linear opening, we tried this, we tried that, it's just like, whatever you did didn't work. Like, you did all this work to try and make it work, and it didn't work. It was not a great movie. But I do have to honestly say that when I rewatched it, and I split it between 2 days, I think I split it between a couple days even, it did sit with me better. I did like, the Final Reckoning a bit more on my second rewatch, but overall, I think it's a pretty disappointing final installment to the franchise. I'm going to give Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning a 4 out of 10. It might even be a 3.5, but I feel comfortable giving it a 4. It's still got the high moments of the big action scenes and the performances, but overall, it's a pretty dull finale. Sorry for continuing the negativity, but another film that I need to talk about in this video is Karate Kid Legends. And I will say this is the worst new movie that I've seen this year. I know there's probably way worse movies that came out, but this movie, for films that I saw that were released this year, this was the bottom of the barrel. This film is so boring. Not even boring, it's just so bad. Let's start off with this. Ralph Macchio, Jackie Chan, training the new Karate Kid. You can make it as cliche as you want, but it sounds like a fun premise. A legacy sequel. Well, I'll tell you this. This is a reminder of why people hate legacy sequels. Because they're all for getting the money and the nostalgia, but they're never willing to put in the work. I really don't know what was going on when they made this movie. This is a really bad film. And I'll say it like this, right? You're expecting them to train a new Karate Kid? Well, that happens about, I think, 45 to 50 minutes into the picture, because we spend the first chunk of it with this kid first moving to the city, and then we see him learning, or rather teaching a guy how to do boxing. He's teaching a pizza shop owner how to box to defend his store from the games and stuff around. And it's just really boring. It's just not what I came here for. And they don't put any of that in the marketing. They make it look like, hey, Karate Kid, Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio. I have to say this, if they were trying to be deceptive with the marketing, they did a great job. I'd heard rumors that was going to be part of the plot, but I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. Like, this film's bad. And then not even that, right? You have a bad beginning, whatever. But the ending fight, oh my goodness, this is, I think, the worst fight in all of the Karate Kid films. One of them, at least, because it isn't even grounded. It isn't even like, hey, here's an emotional payoff. Here's everything they've learned. It's, oh, let's flash bells and loud noises and make it look like something you'd see on the internet or Instagram or TikTok, whatever. I'm not criticizing those types of videos per se. I am criticizing that they are trying to make this Karate Kid match look like something trendy. I just want to go back to the old school type of karate, martial arts action. I think they could make a great Karate Kid film for a new generation. I think having the legacy actors in this is kind of a bridging of the gaps. But they really did not do a good job, and they really made a terrible movie. And for that, I'm going to give Karate Kid Legends a 2 out of 10. Is that a little generous? Could I give it a 1 out of 10? Probably, but honestly, I I might like it a bit more on rewatch, but I haven't had a huge desire to go and rewatch it. Maybe I will after this, though.